Good morning, church.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have heard with our ears, O God. Our fathers have told us what work thou did in their days, in the times of old, how thou did drive out the heathen with thy hand, and planted them, how thou did afflict the people, and cast them out. For they got not the land in possession by their own sword, neither did their own arm save them, but thy right hand, and thine arm, and the light of thy countenance, because thou had a favor unto them. Thou art my king, O God. Command deliverances for Jacob. Through thee will we push down our enemies. Through thy name will we tread them under that rise up against us. For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. But thou hast saved us from our enemies, and hast put them to shame that hated us. And I read to you from the 44th division of Psalms, verses 1 through 7. And may the Lord add a blessing to the reading and hearing of his word. Most Holy Father, we come to you with bowed down heads, thanking and praising you, Father, for forgiving us of our sins. Thank you, Lord, for another day. Thank you, Lord, that you woke us up this morning in our right minds and enabled us to make it safely here to the house of prayer. We just want to thank you, Father, because you are a promise keeper, and everything you promised us, we have received, and we know that there's more to come. We just want to thank you, Lord, as we go through your word today to learn more about you and your will. We ask you to have all minds clear and open to receive your word. In your son Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Good morning.
Don't nobody park on the grass no more?
Today's lesson is entitled God's Promise to David. Coming out of 2 Samuel chapter 7, verses 4 through 16. And we will start this morning with Sister Christina. If you would read the first 2 verses. And then Sister Winston, if you would take 6 and 7.
And it came to pass that while he executed the priest's office before God in the order of his court, wrong
Lesson 2.
And it came to pass that night that the word of the Lord came unto Nathan, saying, Go, servant said, build me house for me to dwell in. Whereas I have not dwelled in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I command to feed my people Israel, saying, why build ye not me an house of cedar?
And Sister Delana, would you read 8 through 10?
Now therefore so shalt thou say unto my servant David, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, from the following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. And I was with thee wheresoever thou wentest, and have cut off all thy enemies out of thy sight, and have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in the place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more, as the before time.
Amen. And Deacon Mike, would you take 11 through 13?
And that since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused thee to rest from all thine enemies, also the Lord telleth thee that he will make thee an house. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever.
And Deacon Prince, would you finish the lesson?
I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of man, and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee, and thine house and the kingdom shall be established forever for thee. Thy throne shall be established forever.
Amen.
Amen.
The time is about 1000 BC, and the place is Jerusalem. Our outline is in 3 parts: David's offer declined, David's fortunes protected, and David's dynasty established. Today's aim is to show that when David sought to build a temple for God, God instead promised to build a dynasty for him, an eternal kingdom ruled over by his son, the eternal king. The principle is to show that the coming of Christ was in keeping with God's covenant with David, a covenant that pointed the way toward the Messiah's arrival, and the application to show that as God prepared for the coming of Christ by means of his covenant with David, we can be assured that he is in control of history and that all that he has promised will come to pass. We just need to count on him. Count on him. So, as I looked over this lesson, I just had to start from the very first of chapter 7, because it gives us a sense of what was going on in King David's head. Chapter 7, verse 1. And it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, and the Lord had given him rest round about from all his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, See now, I dwell in an house of cedar, but the ark of God dwelleth within curtains. And Nathan said to the king, Go, do all that is in thine heart, for the Lord is with thee. So now this is a conversation that was going on between King David and the prophet Nathan. And David he's resting from war and all these other troubling things. He's in his place in Jerusalem. And I could imagine it was probably a mighty living place. A place, a house made of cedar. And he's looking around and thinking about all the good things that God has done for him. And he felt like he needed to do something for God. And there was really nothing wrong with that at all. He had a conversation with Nathan the prophet, and Nathan was feeling the same way. He said, Go for it, just to paraphrase. Do what's in your heart to do for God. Because King David said, Look at me. I'm in this luxurious place, and we still got God in the ark, surrounded by curtains. We need to build a nice place for that ark. But you know, even us today, we need to learn to consult God first.
Yes, right.
We have good intentions, but we need to go to God. And that's even with our sanctuary and other things. Sometimes we get a little bit overboard. We want to do our best for the Lord. But sometimes God says, I didn't ask you to do that. I don't even need that. So we have to be careful when we want to step up and do this and do that. Talk to God about it first. And that's what nobody did here. No one did that. So here he says that it came to pass that night that the word of the Lord came unto Nathan, saying, Go and tell my servant David, Thus saith the Lord, Shalt thou build me an house to dwell in? He came to Nathan because Nathan was the one that put his stamp of approval on King David's idea. So God came to Nathan and said, Go and tell my servant. Now King David was the king, but he belonged to God. And God addressed him as my servant. You go and tell my servant David that I said, Shalt thou build me an house for me to dwell in? Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. So now he's taking them way back. He said, no, I didn't dwell in a house when my children came out of Egypt and came through the wilderness, I dwelt in the tents and the tabernacles. And you know, we had learned previously that those were portable things that they could take down and put up from one place to another. But it didn't matter because God was still with them. He was still with them. And he said, verse 7, in all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, why build ye not me a house of cedar? He said, I never asked any of them anything about why they hadn't built me a house. We know we can't constrict God anyway. But he was there. Everywhere they went, a cloud overhead in the daytime, fire at night. He was there. David's offer was declined. And I looked at a scripture in Deuteronomy chapter 12. (5 through 14). But unto the place which the Lord your God shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall ye see, and there thou shalt come. Right there in the 5th verse, it says, the place which the Lord your God shall choose. He'll choose where he wants to dwell. And there ye shall bring your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and heave offerings of your hand, and your vows, and your freewill offerings, and the firstlings of your herds, and of your flocks. And there ye shall eat before the Lord your God, and ye shall rejoice in all that you put your hand unto, ye and your households, wherein the Lord thy God hath blessed thee. Ye shall not do after all the things that we do here this day. See, there's going to be a change. Every man, whatsoever is right in his own eyes, you won't be doing that kind of stuff in the place that God chooses. For ye have not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which the Lord your God giveth you. We're not there yet. But when ye go over Jordan and dwell in the land which the Lord your God giveth you to inherit, and when he giveth you rest from all your enemies round about, so that ye dwell in safety, then there shall be a place, watch it, here comes again, which the Lord your God shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. There shall you bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, your tithes, and the heave offerings of your hand, and all your choice vows which ye vow unto the Lord. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God, ye and your sons, and your daughters, and your men servants, and your maid servants, and the Levite that is within your gates, for as much as he hath no part nor inheritance with you. Take heed to thyself that thou offer not thy burnt offerings in every place that thou seest, but in the place which the Lord shall choose in one of thy tribes. There thou shalt offer thy burnt offerings, and there thou shalt do all that I command thee. The Lord said he will choose the place that he will have his name placed there. David's offer was declined. Any comments on that very first part?
I said, when I read it, right away, I saw that way it started again. When it's God time, it came to pass. When God says something and it comes to pass, nobody can stop it. He knows what's in the heart. I like how when he said, in that first part it says, watch who you take counsel from. But also, even those that have the wants to do what's right and stuff, they have a tendency to go to their own mind. But you see here, he went to someone that knew the Lord to get counsel from. You don't go to somebody that don't know God. But even they forgot. Let's address this with God. But it sounds good.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
Yeah.
So I saw here that if God know our heart, and he will send someone to you. But he didn't send him to the congregation. Nathan went back to my servant. And that goes where it shows enough how we supposed to handle things. And so I like how if God wants you to do something, can't nobody stop it. But when he stop it, it's for a reason.
It's for a reason. And when we think about that reason, we find that reason in 1 Chronicles chapter 12, chapter 22, verse 8. There was a reason that David
That's right.
was not going to build a house for God.
That's right. That's right.
First of all, it wasn't time, and it wasn't of God's choosing,
That's it.
but there was another reason. And when we look in 1 Chronicles chapter 22, verse 8, it reads, but the word of the Lord came to me, saying, thou hast shed blood abundantly, and hast made great wars. David was a warrior. Thou shalt not build an house unto my name, because thou hast shed much blood upon the earth in my sight. David was making preparations for building a temple
Yeah, his place.
for the Lord,
Yeah.
but God said not so.
That's right.
You have blood on your hands.
That's right.
His place was going to be a place of peace. So when we go on to David's fortune's protected. Verse 8. Now therefore, so shalt thou say unto my servant David. Here the Lord is still talking to Nathan, telling him what to say to King David.
That's right.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. Now let's just take a second to look at this. The Lord is breaking it down. He says, you tell David that I took him. I took him from the sheepcote, from the pasture, out there with the sheep.
That's right.
And David was following the sheep. And they say that's one of the lowest jobs.
Yeah.
It's a job that's needed, don't get me wrong, but it was one of the lowest jobs that anyone could have. He said, tell him, I took thee from the sheepcote, from following the sheep. But here comes the elevation, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. He said, I took you from that low, humble place
That's right.
and elevated you
All right.
to the heights
You can.
of the people in the earth,
Yeah.
to being someone that was in charge of God's people.
Yeah.
That's what I did. He said, God,
That's right.
I took you.
That's right.
Wasn't nothing you did
That's right.
Right.
to get there.
Nothing.
And I was with thee, whithersoever thou wentest. He said, everywhere you went, I was there
That's right.
with you. In battle, in anything. When he was being chased by Saul, he said, I was with you. When you were out there, the youngest of your father's children, in the pasture, didn't even have a clue what was about to happen.
That's right.
But I was with you,
Yeah.
right out there.
That's right.
He said, and have cut off all thine enemies out of thy sight. He was in a place of rest now.
Yeah.
Wasn't fighting nobody. And have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Everybody knew about David.
Yep.
Even today, we read and know about David. His victories, how he came up from a youngster,
All right.
but he was chosen by God.
That's right.
He said, I made thee. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and I will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them anymore, as before time. And as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused thee to rest from all thine enemies.
Yeah.
He said, that'll be my doing.
That's right.
That'll be my doing.
Thank you. Yeah.
God, he said, I took you from the lowest of the low and elevated
That's
you.
right.
Yes. Got you in a place where you would be ruling a nation.
Mm-hmm.
I did that. David had to realize everything he had and had accomplished came from the Lord. He had a good idea, but it wasn't his to do. And God stepped in immediately
All right.
and let Nathan know, you go and tell my servant what I say,
That's right.
because I'm the one with the master plan.
That's right.
And it'll be done. But I haven't bothered anybody
That's right.
about building a tabernacle or a temple for me to be in. David's fortunes were protected. As long as we're under the wings of the Lord God Almighty,
Yes.
whatever we have is ours.
Yeah, that's right.
And David's fortunes were protected. He was in a place of rest. He had done some good work
Mm-hmm.
and always acknowledged God throughout everything. So he didn't have any worries there. But we have to be careful not to step out of line. Because we do.
Oh, yeah.
And then if somebody comes to us and tell us you're in the wrong lane, then we need to stop and examine ourselves. Go to the Lord
Mm-hmm.
first. Go to the Lord
Uh-huh.
and be willing to listen. Sometimes we don't listen. You know, our brain is working so fast and we think we got it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. So here, David's fortune was protected. Questions or comments?
I said we need to remember that we are guided by the Holy Spirit. So if something comes to us, no matter what it is, he said take it to God first. And I noticed how in this lesson it said you need to remember that what it's supposed to be, it will be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most of us have trust issues and we don't even realize it. Because he said, I made you.
Mm-hmm.
When you going through something, that's the first thing you should think of. I made you and everything there is. So whatever is happening, I got the remedy. But we'll start leaning into our own understanding, start
Yeah.
planning. And then we plan it, and I like how you said, go to the person. There's nothing wrong with somebody telling you you're wrong, but it's a way. And then he said, I like how he said, when we trust him, that he able to not only made you, but he made everything that is. So what make us think we got such a great power of planning than God? So when we do our planning, we got to remember we got to follow his plan all the way.
Right.
And so that means you got to be open to his word. When you pray, it ain't just, okay, I don't pray, now I'm going to go ahead. You got to wait for
Sure
an
you
answer.
do.
And this is one thing I like about God. When you doing something from your heart, he'll send somebody to you. Sit down, and just like God broke it down to you, he'll break it down to you that you'll understand. You can't sleep, something will bother you as you're walking along till you do that thing, or you acknowledge it. If God is in your heart, and I believe this is why he let us know, we are helpers to one another. Nathan was there to talk to David.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like one of you got to be praying while the other's talking sometimes, because the Levite enemy is looking for a door opener. But thank God, he let you know. Nathan, you tell him. And then he said, I'm going to let you know why. He let you know why he refused your plan.
Mm-hmm.
So your plan is not my plan. Your thoughts are not my thoughts. That's Bible.
Yeah. Deacon Mike.
I had this one thing that that resonates in my mind. God was telling him, I did this for you. I did all this for you. I did all this for you. I did this. I put you at rest with your enemies. Your enemies are not going to come on you because of me.
Exactly.
Because of me. I did this. I'm the one that blessed you. Now, I think about it like this. This way it hits me. Acknowledge what I have done for you. Yes, and he was thankful. He was thankful, appreciative of what God has done. But God, this is something that we, as Christians, ought to remember. We got to keep the focus on God, thanking Him for all the things that He has done for us. Because it ain't because, oh, I went to college and I got 6 degrees, I got 3 masters, blah 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 blah. That means nothing. That means nothing. Acknowledge what God has blessed you with, and when you continue to do that, I believe He's going to get. He trusts you with this. You prove that you didn't take credit for this. That He will trust you for more. That's the way I look at it. And when I see this, it comes to my mind. Always acknowledge Him. Always acknowledge what He has already blessed us with.
That's fine.
I know my sister-in-law says, I thank the Lord for what He already has done. And that's what you make me think of. Yeah, what He already has done. So here we get to the third part, David's dynasty established. And that picks up in the second part of verse 11. Also, the Lord telleth thee that He will make thee an house. So that's the dynasty that the Lord is talking about. David wants to make him a house, but he said, nah, I'm going to make you a house. But the house that I make for you will be everlasting. It will be everlasting. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. And you know, so many times we get messages and words from God, and we can't see it because it hasn't happened.
Mm-hmm.
But when you trust in him, you know that if he said it, it will happen.
It will happen.
I might not be here to see it, but it's going to happen. And he's telling it when the days come and you shall sleep with your fathers. All of those that have gone on before you, when you lay down and die, I will set up thy seed after thee. Something coming from David's bowels. Yes, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build an house for my name. And we know that that was Solomon, the one on the earth. Okay? He shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. But when we start talking about the forever, we quickly transition to Jesus, because we know Jesus is the forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. Okay. Jesus is the Son of God. He says, and he goes from one to the other. You know, you have to catch it. He says, if he commit iniquity, but we know now that ain't Jesus, because Jesus ain't never sinned. So now we back to Solomon. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. And he did chasten Solomon. Because Solomon wasn't perfect.
No.
And he made mistakes, you know, like we all do. But God chastised him. He says, but my mercy shall not depart away from him. And that's the best news. Because when we do wrong, we don't want God to take his mercy or his grace away from us.
No.
You know,
No, with that at all.
just because we make a mistake don't mean that he's done with us. And that's the good news. He said, my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee. I just want to check one reference that I put in. And it came out of 1 Kings 5. 1 Kings chapter 5, 2 through 5. Because David acknowledged what Nathan said that the Lord told him to tell him. And David did everything he could to help in the process of the building when his son was about. And so here I have 1 Kings 5, 2 through 5. It says, and Solomon sent to Hiram, saying, and Hiram was the king of Tyre. In verse 3 it says, thou knowest how that David, my father, could not build an house unto the name of the Lord his God, for the wars which were about him on every side, until the Lord put them under the soles of his feet. But now the Lord my God hath given me rest on every side, so that there is neither adversary nor evil occurrent. And behold, I purpose to build an house unto the name of the Lord my God, as the Lord spake unto David my father, saying, Thy son, whom I will set upon thy throne in thy room, he shall build an house unto my name. So it was Solomon, David's son. And then I followed up with 1 Chronicles chapter 29, verses 2 through 9. And these were abundant offerings for building the temple.
What was it? First Chronicles?
That was 1 Chronicles chapter 29, verses 2 through 9. Or we could start at 1, because 1, you have it.
Not yet. Okay, I got it.
Chapter 29. I'll start at verse 1. Furthermore, David the king said unto all the congregation, Solomon my son, whom alone God hath chosen, is yet young and tender, and the work is great, for the palace is not for man, but for the Lord. Now I have prepared with all my might for the house of my God, the gold for things to be made of gold, and the silver for things of silver, and the brass for things of brass, the iron for things of iron, and wood for things of wood, onyx stones, and stones to be set, glistering stones, and of diverse colors, and all manner of precious stones, and marble stones in abundance. Moreover, because I have set my affection to the house of my God, I have of mine own proper good of gold and silver, which I have given to the house of my God, over and above all that I have prepared for the holy house, even 3,000 talents of gold. And it just goes on and on.
Preparing. Yeah.
Preparation
Yeah.
for God's house.
All right.
He wasn't going to build it. He acknowledged that the son was the one that was chosen to do it. And anything he had
Yeah.
to help,
That's it.
it was there.
Yeah.
It was there. And it was all God's doing.
Yes, sir.
All God's doing.
I like the second verse of that. Excuse me, the third verse.
Third verse.
And it's the first part of it.
Okay.
Moreover, because I have set my affection to the house of my God.
Yes.
Where's your treasure? Where is your treasure?
That's it.
Yes, sir.
That's it. See, I'm telling you, when you get into these verses, it opens up so much.
Yes, it does.
It opens up so much. And then in that 16th verse, and thine house and thy kingdom shall be established forever before thee. Thy throne shall be established forever. So David's dynasty was established, and it would be established forever, because Solomon had to leave the scene sooner or later too.
That's right.
But Jesus would carry it through all the way and forever. It would be a messianic kingdom, dynasty. I looked at this one part that was really amazing. And it talked about Jesus and how he came down through the lineage, okay? Came down through the line of David. So I just highlighted it because I said I think it says it so much better in here when it says Jesus claimed the legal right to the throne through his legal father, Joseph. Now we know Joseph wasn't his father, but that was his legal father, okay, who had descended from David through Solomon. All of them were in the line. Joseph came down, Mary came down through the line. But he claimed lineal descent from David through his mother, Mary, who had descended from another son of David, Nathan. Through him alone could the kingdom be eternal, as Gabriel told Mary. He told Mary that in the first chapter, verses 32 and 33. The climax of Jesus' reign is still future. It's future, awaiting his return. But its fulfillment is just as certain as his first advent, for it is based on the covenant faithfulness of the God of David. We thank God, and we know that a lot of this is still to come. We haven't gotten there yet, but it's a promise, and God is a promise keeper. So we don't have to worry about it. It's going to happen.
And as I read this lesson, I see for David already had a plan, and God let him know it wasn't his plan. But he didn't stop there.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He didn't let that stop him.
Mm-hmm.
He started getting material.
Oh,
I'm not going to build it, but I can help you.
Yes.
When a person is doing a job and you can see that you can help them, help them. Don't sit back and say, it's their job. Oh, somebody else going to do it. It's a part in there for you too. God directed him. And I believe that he found out whatever you do, ask God. If you have it in your heart, he will send somebody to you and say, yeah, that's not right. Nathan didn't go to a whole bunch of people. He went to the one God told him.
That's right.
Go to my servant.
Go to my servant.
Go to my servant.
That's right.
God like that.
Beautiful lesson.
Yes, it is.
I have one other thing to say about this. Just what you were saying, Sister Brenda, about preparation.
Oh, yeah.
We need to do what David did. Prepare.
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 Right.
Prepare for what's going to be coming.
That's right.
And
Yes, sir.
very important, we need to always pray.
Yes, sir.
Pray for God's direction.
Yes, sir.
Pray for God's wisdom and his will. It's too many times we step out and think we doing something. And we need to always learn
Yes.
when we put him first. We say, if it's your will,
Yes, sir.
I'll do this
Right.
or I'll do that.
Right.
Because sometimes, as we found out in this lesson, it's not always his will.
Right.
It may sound good
Mm-hmm.
and it may look good, but if God didn't ask you for it, please refrain.
Be just like Saul.
Right? He said, I didn't ask you to do that. And all the time, I was with my children
Yeah.
in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't ask any of them
That's right.
about building me. So we got to go to him first.
That's it.
And that's beautiful. So I encourage you all to study. Get ready for the next lesson. God's promise of a Savior.
Yeah.
It's gonna be beautiful. So, with that, we'll ask Deacon Prince to please dismiss the class.
Stand. Read up. Heavenly Father, Lord. Just want to thank you for another beautiful
Hi,
Sunday.
how are you?
Bless it, Lord. Continue to bless each and every one of us, Lord. Continue to open up our hearts and our minds to do your will, Lord. We ask all these blessings in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Good morning.